Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Approval of minutes. May 17th, 2023, regular board minutes. Motion to approve
I'll make a
those.
motion to approve those minutes.
Second.
I'll second it.
I'm sorry, I turned my hearing up. Did we get a second on that one?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, June 7th, the continued meeting minutes. Need approval.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes as well.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of vouchers, and there's two sets, because we're closing out 2022 and starting on 2023.
Okay, we got to separate it first.
That's what I'm trying to do.
You want mine, Chuck, or you want
No, but we're just trying to get them.
Straight around here. So you read them both off or separate?
I go through the 2022 and then go through the 2023 if you got them in that order.
Abstract 15 is the payables, and then abstract 1 is the new budget.
15
Okay.
is,
That's right, one's a new one, okay.
One is
Yeah,
the new
one.
one.
001 is this new year,
Okay.
starting our new fiscal year.
Okay then. We've got last year's general fund of $30,863.26. We've got water fund, $25,683.15. Sewer fund, $18,195.95. And capital fund, a big one, $573,521.38. That's it for last year. This year we've got general fund, $109,061.27. Water fund, $55,199.70. And sewer fund, $25,532.56. Tim and I just finished auditing everything, and I make a motion we pay them.
Let's make a motion that we do the encumbrances first. I think you should do them separate.
Okay?
So I'll make a motion for the encumbrances for last year that close out to last year's budget, the encumbrances, which is the first amount of figures you read.
Yes?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then we need a motion.
And I'll make a
for this
motion
year.
that we approve the New Year's vouchers to be paid.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Phase 2 or wastewater treatment plant upgrades.
So we're basically cleaning up and finishing the general construction and the electrical construction, which is the disinfection and controls. The diffusers, aeration and diffusers are being assembled above ground, and once they get, some in there, they'll put them into place.
See, they got quite a few of them done down there, stacked and covered. Do you want to talk at all on possibly having to go to a phase 3?
Yep, we're looking at, we're calling it phase 3, but it's essentially the Lagoon 2 desludging, dewatering, desludging, and then relining that. We're going after some additional funding for that, so we've kind of set that aside, and we're calling it phase 3. We're working on an engineering report. I think you saw later in your thing here for in the correspondence is a proposal for that work. But yeah, additionally, we're going for additional funding from New York State EFC on that, and in hopes that we can split that project up and go back for additional funding, and that way they could essentially give us money for 2 projects that ended up being, one large project, but we're going back to the well again for that. At their suggestion, the New York State EFC's suggestion that we go back for that, so.
Basically, the plan was to finish up Lagoon 1 in that area
Yep,
and get all the aeration equipment and everything in there, and then
for Lagoon 1 only.
And then talking with the municipal board, they felt we should go after additional funding, which we're going to try, and then if we get that funding, we probably would do Lagoon 2. It's probably 2 to 3 years out. before
It could
we
be,
buy it.
just
But
because
that would be the
the
phase 3.
lead time on that, getting that equipment on site, mobilization time, I mean, it's pretty specialized, so there's not, maybe a half a dozen of those contractors are in the area, or in the country, so they don't, that equipment's not just sitting there ready to move to Lowville, right? So it's gonna take us some time to get in their schedule, so we need to bid that. Last year when we did Lagoon 1, we bid it, and it took them a year before they could start on site. I mean, it was, I think 8 months before they
The
could.
big thing with that is there was more sludge in Lagoon 1 that we figured was in there, so that, and now we've gone in and done measurements and things on Lagoon 2, and the amount of sludge in Lagoon 2, it's just cost prohibitive to try and do that. We just don't have the money. That's why we gotta complete what we have and then try and get more grant money to go ahead and do the Lagoon 2 down the road. Otherwise, it would drag our sewer rate straight through the roof. We can't do that.
No.
Is that all you had on that, Dan?
That is, and you said it much better than I did, Joe. Thank you.
I see that there's a fee schedule here for you to prepare this.
What's that, Dan?
For phase 3, yes. That's in your correspondence? Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah.
Correspondence, yes.
And is this something that should have been caught with the original?
Well, I guess the unforeseen thing was just the quantity of material we had in the lagoons. We essentially were revising the report to say, I mean, it's the same, we'd already written an engineering report to remove and desludge and dewater Lagoon 2. Now what we're saying is we're explaining to EFC why the cost overrun and why this needs to be its own project. And we've added some information for them to help with the scoring based on this just being a dewatering and desludging project. As opposed to the last time we were doing all that disinfection building and everything in there, that's what that engineering report focused mainly on disinfection.
I thought this was all part of the original. I guess I'm a little taken aback right now as to why all of a sudden we can't do the project. I thought it was bid out and engineered out correctly, so I have a problem coming up with $40 more thousand for GIMO to submit for grant funding. But I guess that's a board decision.
It's mainly the unforeseen amount of sludge in the lagoons was what caused it, Dan.
Okay.
That's more than going after grant funding when we get to that, Dan. There's other things in that proposal. Groundwater well development project. And I got a question on that, because I know part of our problem with that project right now is the electrical components.
Yep.
As we're waiting for those boxes that need to be run on the
Yeah.
mile or two of pipeline.
Yeah, for the,
Is there any way we can put pressure on the electrical contractor to maybe him put pressure on his suppliers? Because that's the only thing that's holding this project up.
right, and we've been trying, you know, I mean, we've been after them for, now it's probably been 6-8 months, we've been after them about getting that scheduled. Now, he did tell me last week that he's gonna be back the beginning of July, which, if you recall, 2 months ago, it was August, September, right? So I think we're at least now getting it narrowed down to where it's actually going to, where they're gonna get back on site, but
I guess
yeah.
where I'm coming from, basically, we're just held up for those boxes because
Yes,
all the cable and everything came in here about 3 weeks ago and it's sitting up there.
yep, yeah, I think it's even been more than that, because I think we paid them for that last pay application, so I think it's even been more, but
I just hate paying for material that just sits there, it's not being installed.
we've been trying to get them to look, I mean, they've looked at other sources for that material. We've tried to change the material to a different product so we could get it sooner, which we did. I don't know if you remember, but we did that with the transformers.
But we do have the transformer now.
Right, yeah, no, we got that, but it's just the sectionalizer boxes that we're waiting for now, yeah.
All right, that's all I have on that.
And they are, I guess I would say the schedule is the beginning of July now. I mean, that's the,
Well, the only good thing is we're not that far away from July. But
that's right, yeah. That's it, yep.
Street lighting LED conversion program, basically what the village is waiting on right now, we're just waiting on our bill from New York Power Authority to get submitted, and I think we might be able to get a little more grant money once we submit that bill, possibly another $60,000 in grants. Help go for that. Do you have anything more on it?
I'll just say that we're actually hoping to, between Wilma and Carthage, have their final bills already. So when they get theirs paid up, they'll have enough in there to get most of that 90% match from the local government efficiency grant. So then we can start distributing those funds to communities. And then the next, probably a couple municipalities that get their bills, we should then actually be able to get everybody their grant funding at that point in time.
And to go along with that, for the residents that National Grid has moved the poles and the lights are still on the old poles, we have a contractor now that's going to move them. Hopefully it's going to happen Friday, so people that don't have lights that aren't working, they will be working by next week. Crossing their fingers.
Yeah, right.
Because their electrical contractor was supposed to do it last month and never showed up.
All right, music in the park.
Starts next Tuesday. First week is Tony Levesque. Then July 4th, we have Josh Green. July 11th, we have somebody, I don't have my schedule in front of me. We'll take the 18th off for the fair, and then we continue on through the rest of the summer. I know what July 11th is. July 11th is going to be karaoke with Janine Munger. So, and then we go through, and we've got Bill Burkhardt coming. I don't think any band we've got coming this year has been here one of the prior 2 years I'll go.
And to go along with that, Joe, we are laying out for the new playground at Veterans Park. So residents, when the kids come to play, that night, it'll be all roped off, so please stay out of the area of where the new playground is gonna go.
That it, Dan?
Yeah, Citizen of the Year has been determined, and that will be awarded fair night. I don't see that on the agenda, but I'll just quickly announce that we do have a recipient, and I've got the plaque being made as we speak.
Okay, Key Bank zone change. I thought Jim was gonna be here tonight. Basically, all we need to do on that is finish up part 2 of the seeker and approve it, I believe, so I don't think, without him, we probably can't approve it, can we, Ken?
I don't know.
We need to do that, we need to do that part 2 seeker, and he was supposed to have that for us.
Is,
Has that been
call and
through-
see if he's on his way?
Has that been through the planning board yet?
Yep,
Has it?
the
County
planning.
planning, yeah, but I mean, the other, didn't they have to go back through the?
It's gotta go back through, yeah, and I don't think it has. Kathy, I know, set with it, give it to them, so I think she's already talked to some of the members on it. So we'll just have to put that one on hold for now, I guess. New business, craft surcharges. April 2023, there was 0 on sewer. May 2023, it was $5,000 surcharge for water. We need a motion to approve that.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And it's not under new business, but we got 2 things when it comes up. Fair Parade Detour, it's resolution 2023-8. Hopefully everybody's got a cut. We need a motion to approve that for the Fair Parade.
I'll make the motion to approve that for the fair parade.
Second?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
And on that same line, we do it every year. Village of Lowville parking for Fair Parade, where we, after 2 p.m., we,
Suspend the two.
people can park along the street. We need a motion to approve that one also.
So I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And along those same, speaking of the fair, our next village board meeting is actually the 19th, which is Fair Week. My question is, do the members want to keep that date, or would they like to change it because of the fair?
I'm good with it. I'm fine with that, you know.
Okay with that, keeping that date?
Yeah, aye.
Okay.
I think we did last year too. Maybe fair week.
The Racco June newsletter, anybody have any questions on that? Nymer sent us a letter on master battery disconnect switches. I guess they've had too many DPW garages burned down. But talking with Paul, all our equipment, our large equipment's already equipped with the disconnect switches, so we're ahead of the game on that one.
Good.
And the proposal for engineering service is basically, Matt, if I'm wrong on any of this, let me know. But
You did a better job on the last one, so should take this one too.
no, it's to go after the grant money, first thing. But the other thing is to handle, if we do get the grant money, we're gonna have to let a new contract for the phase 3. So it would be dealing with all that contract documents and everything, right?
This would get you through getting that money and getting to the point where we have that project, figuring out what that project is and that. We would put together a set of, after that, you would put together a set of bid documents to put that out to bid. And no, that's not included in here, but it does include going after WIA, WQIP, ESD, whatever we come up with for ESD, consolidated funding application, we did some samples of the water samples of stuff leaching near the lagoons. We've done a couple other things, and de-scoping the phase 2 work, taking out figuring out, I guess, what we need to do in phase 3, which there was a lot of control valves that were damaged just by operating them at the plant, and getting all that work kind of put into this engineering report for phase 3, just figuring out what that is, and working with Paul and Joe on that, figuring out what we want to include in there, what we can and can't do. The other thing is we had to review several alternatives of how we're going to handle the sludge, which we've done. We could potentially, we had looked at using they call it a land use application, instead of hauling it to the landfill like we did in the previous phase. That land use application, there's a lot of steps and parts and pieces to that. We don't really we didn't recommend that in our engineering report, but it was a lot of legwork to figure out what that was going to take, and if it was something the village wanted to look at. Those aren't, when people use those land use applications, they're basically spreading it on the land. You're turning it into fertilizer. Where they do that is, it's a different type of treatment plant. Drive by on 81, you drive by the one in Adams, right on 81. Those digesters, they're pulling sludge out of those continuously, and they'll pull that out. They'll run it through a dryer. They run it through a press, then they run it through a dryer to get all the water out of it. It's a smaller quantity to handle, and then you get a farmer. You strike a deal with a farmer to come get it and spread it on their fields. The quantity we're dealing with here is way above that level. You'd have to build a lagoon, another lagoon, to hold this stuff in while you're processing it. It just doesn't make sense to do it from a cost perspective. So we've looked at a lot of different options to try to get more funding. That's really what it's about, and steps you have to go to submit for that funding applications.
But we've submitted the one application.
You submitted for the intended use plan. That gets you on the list for WIA and WQIP. Intended use plan is gonna get you in. They may write us a letter soon, or maybe it'll be this fall, for bipartisan infrastructure act money that they call it bill money, BIL. That's a funding source. Then you have that's federal money administered by New York State, so it's bipartisan infrastructure law. Then you have WQIP and WIA; those are New York State sources. We haven't used USDA in any of these other applications. They just throw on more requirements, which it makes it more difficult to get that money. Is the only reason. And the previous project, you did ESD as a source. So this report we would help coordinate all those applications, and it would get us to the point where we could decide: do we go forward with this project, or do we not? And that happens. That time frame would be in the December is when we would find out about all those
That grant has
sources.
to be in,
July 28th.
I was gonna say it was in July.
Yeah.
But my question here, though, in order for that application to go in, don't we have to have a new bond resolution also?
You have to have a bond resolution. We talked to your bond counsel is Robert Smith. We've talked to him. He's not going to charge you for the bond resolution till this project goes forward, because at that point you'd have enough. At that point is when you would actually do something with that bond resolution, other than have it on a piece of paper saying you've done it and submitting it as an application. You're not going to borrow any money or anything like that.
basically, we would have to have that bond resolution done by our next board meeting.
At your next board meeting, yeah.
So it can be submitted.
In July, at the end of July. Yeah.
And the thing with a bond resolution, even though we did a large bond resolution, we don't really have to take that amount of money if we
Right,
don't need
so
to.
the bond resolution is for total project cost. It doesn't relate necessarily to the amount of money you're borrowing, whatever the loan is, whatever the grants are, it's the total project cost. So that's why you need to do a bond resolution, even though you're not borrowing any money at this point. And for whatever reason, New York State makes you do the bond resolution before you submit the application. I think why they do it is so it weeds out some projects, right? They don't get projects that aren't committed to by the community.
Basically shovel-ready projects.
That's right. That's right. Yep. Yeah, and after December, we could quickly put together. I mean, really, we've got most of the plans. All it would be is just a front end package saying this is what this project is, and this is what we want you to bid on. We would need some details for those operation valves and things like that, but
But the major part of the project has already been designed
that's right.
from
Yep.
phase 1 and 2.
Yep.
So basically, if the plan is to close out the phase 2 this summer, then if we can get grant money, then go for phase 3.
And what EFC was looking at, and I haven't really gotten clarification whether they've decided yet, they were looking at, do we make it a phase 3 to your old project, or do we stop the old project and create a new project?
Which one we get more
And
points?
what they're looking at is how it would score and how much money they can give you for it. And the lady from EFC specifically found me at a conference and said, I want you guys to submit this because we're looking at it two different ways, and the main decision point for that is how much money we can get for the village of Lowville. So they want to finish this project, and they're looking for ways to do it, and they're going to view this project both ways and see which one you would be eligible for more money for. And it's all the how they move the shells around. If it's a new phase to an old project, that you would use the old project score. If it's a new project, you're eligible for two different grants. I mean, that's what they're looking at, and they both have maximums and they both have, their requirements. So they're looking at it both ways. The old project, you'll have a good score from the same score you had on the old project. The new project, you'll have a lower score, but you have more options that you're pulling money from. And they were doing that this week because we submitted that last week. I got an email saying this is your project number. I don't know if you two got that.
Yes, yeah.
But
right here.
I emailed him back and said, are you saying this is a new project? Like it's a fully new project, or is it just something that has to do with your filing system where you filed the new report? I don't know the answer to that. I'm trying to get that. Either way, for this decision, I mean, either one, it's ultimately we're going to get the benefit from the funding. I mean, that's what they're looking at. They're giving you a score based on the engineering report we submitted last week, and what we're identifying as issues, and from there they're going to give us a score, and that's the score that they use to either give you X amount of grant and this much loan, or whatever they offer, the terms of the offer agreement.
Anybody have any other questions on that proposal? No questions? We need a motion to accept it?
I think the board needs to talk things over a little bit before you just,
Yeah,
Are we talking about the 40,000?
Yeah.
48 is what it is, right?
I mean, we haven't got any recommendation what the municipal board wants to do with it. you know, they've talked about it in the municipal board meeting last week.
What they wanted us to go forward with was submitting for these funding applications, which that's what this proposal's for, right? I mean, yeah.
Charlie, how did you attended the municipal board meeting?
Yeah.
Did they want us to spend the 40,000?
No,
That didn't come up.
that didn't come up. They want to move forward with us doing a bond resolution.
Basically, what they wanted to do was see if,
See what funding.
what we could get for grant money, and then they would make a decision whether or not they were gonna go forward with.
That's separate from what they want to do. Correct? Or are we making a motion also for the 40,000?
But the problem is,
Well,
in
that's
order
the thing, we
in
can't
order to
move
go
forward
forward, we
without-
gotta spend some money to get the grant.
I'm not making a motion.
If-
I believe the municipal board made that motion, right?
To what?
They did make the motion to move forward, I
To move
thought,
forward.
but they didn't have
Go after-
dollar amounts in front of them.
Right, to go after the grant money.
To try and get grant money is what they wanted to do. And then they were gonna decide if we got grant money, whether to move forward with a phase 3 or not. Because I think the way the municipal board's looking right now, can't really speak for them, but I know it's the way I'm looking, that if we don't get a large grant to do this phase 3, we just won't do a phase 3 for the next 4, 5, 6 years. Because there's just no way the village can afford it without a large grant.
And, okay, so if that's the case,
But
Can we get
meanwhile,
by?
we gotta spend a little money up front to go after the grants.
my question is, if we put it off in 5 or 6 years, we can apply for a grant then. We're not sure we're gonna get any kind of grant, you know, or bond. I'm done.
The thing is, I guess, Dan, one reason I'm not too worried about it right now is the first time those lagoons were cleaned down there, it was like almost 45 years. And during that time, we were getting heavy BOD loads and everything from Kraft Heinz. Or it was Kraft back then. Now it's Kraft Heinz. Kraft Heinz has gone up there and they put in 2 brand new MBRs, so everything's being pre-treated at Kraft Heinz before it comes to our sewer plant. So our loading down there is way less than it had been in the past. So my thought is if we shouldn't have a problem going another 5 or 6 years if we can't get grant money right away. to do it.
Then I guess,
I mean, that would also give us a chance to get our debt load down on some of our other
so
projects.
basically we're talking, it's really kind of a moot issue. We really don't need to do it right now. That's the way I take it, based on what you're telling me now. So,
I mean, we have the material and everything to go in there, so I mean, we do have some of the, so, you know, if we can do it in the next couple, 3 years, it would probably be good, but no, we don't.
There's also
have to
some
do it right
issues
now.
with the lagoon itself. And I don't know how much detail we need to get into in the meeting about that, but there's some problems, and you have a lot of sludge in that lagoon. I wouldn't disagree that it hadn't been done in 45 years or whatever, but there's 8 feet of sludge at the far end of it, and it's a 10 to 11 foot lagoon, so it's nearly full in one section. Now, I can't disagree that it hadn't been done in 45 years. I just know what we measured this summer, and Joe, I agree with you. The BOD loading is less than it used to be. I guess I don't know what it used to be, but it has to be less because there's treatment now and there wasn't before. But yeah, you certainly can. I guess pausing this project to me is, I mean, you're probably 2 years from getting that sludge out of there anyway. And this is what I was saying to the municipal board last week. If you're talking about 5 or 10 years, you could have a serious problem with the lagoon itself, and who knows what would happen with funding in that 5 or 10 year period. I've never seen funding like it is now in my 30-year career. And I don't know if any of you have ever said this would be, or thought to myself, man, this would be cheaper 5 or 10 years from now. I mean, it's never going to happen in anyone's lifetime.
So our costs have gone up.
Everything's going to go up, yeah.
But the other thing, I'm not sure how much of this money is going to come from the federal government to the state, staying out to us. But I do know, I think 25, 26, 27, New York State's looking at some pretty large shortfalls. It's in the millions of dollars for their budgets. I'm just wondering how much of this grant money will be out there in the next couple, 3 years. And it's there this year, that's.
I mean, we're changing our business plans around where there's gonna be money in the next, in 5 years from now. But the other source you have, which they haven't really said much about, and we would do it with this because the report is the report. The Environmental Bond Act money is going to be, they're figuring out how they're gonna release some of that. This could potentially have another source there in the fall. I don't know yet. I mean, New York State's pretty good about their infrastructure money, and they have these programs, WIA and WQIP. I mean, they've been working on infrastructure for several years now. So the Environmental Bond Act money might just go to trails and things like that. We don't really know, but it's $4 billion or something. I mean, it's a large amount of money, and this could be another source for that. But I think you need to get this part moving and decide, and you can table it as well. But if you table it, you need to decide whether you're going to do that bond resolution next month, because if you don't do the bond resolution, you can't submit for this money. And I don't like holding you guys hostage. I'm not trying to, but that is a reality, is we won't be able to do it if we don't do the bond resolution next month. You can
Well,
sign this, you can
Maybe
sign
we
that
have to
next
do
month
that.
if you
I knew we were
want.
gonna have to do bond resolution
Yeah.
in order to even submit the grant.
So if that doesn't have to be done before next meeting, I think my recommendation is you guys talk about it.
Sure, that's fine. I mean, yeah, I'm good with that.
Good points, okay. I say that you table it and then have the board members talk about it and come up with a decision.
All right?
The next municipal board meeting is July 11th, so it'll be before our meeting.
Yep. And that way they'll know how much it is too. The 48, is it 48,000?
48,000.
I don't think that was brought up at all, was it?
You guys had it, but I didn't bring it up in that municipal board meeting. I didn't know.
You kept us there long enough.
Yeah.
I didn't know, I was on a roll. I didn't know how you guys handle that in the municipal board, so I didn't bring it up.
Okay, anybody got any other questions on that? If not, we'll move on. Officer and committee reports. Chairman, I guess is not gonna make it tonight. I have nothing.
I think,
Chairman, do you have anything?
excuse me, does anybody have his number so we can give him a call, see if he's coming?
You talking about Jim Burrows?
Yeah.
I can tell you. If I have it, I'll tell you. I only have the office number, so I don't have it.
I got it. not answering, and his mailbox is not set up yet.
Might be on purpose.
Just very well,
Perfect.
All right. Clerk Treasurer, do you have anything?
Nope.
Chief of Police not here.
I'd like to bring something up. We have a very big concern over on Woodlawn. I've had 2 complaints about parking over there for the soccer. And we've got no parking on both sides of the street. I think the proactive way to handle that is to have the police department over there to stop it from happening. And then if it continues to happen after they do that, they will have to answer to the law that we have in place. I was over there personally myself the other night, and there was a lot of cars, more than I've ever seen. And it's, in fairness to the residents, it's not fair. So we've got to monitor that. And I see on our report that we only issued 6 parking tickets last month, so apparently everybody's following the law pretty good. So that's my comment on that.
Dan, I did talk to Daryl this morning on that, and he was gonna get a hold of Brandon, which is supposed to be working this afternoon, and have him monitor that area.
Great.
So,
Has this been an issue in the past, Dan? or-
Yeah, and I think what it amounts to is the residents have finally had it. They've cooperated as long as they're going. I think if it continues, you'll see them here as part of, so we don't.
well,
I mean, they can't even have their own family because the law's that way, and I get it, and that they wanted it that way, but they don't want to, they want it so that no parking is no parking.
a few years ago, it was quite a problem, and I remember the police had to go over and do some tickets when the academy was having ball games and things, but the last few years, they've been able to drive in there and back off on the sides. And then a lot of the school programs, they were parking here in our parking lot and walking over. But this is it's not a school-related function, they're just using the school
Correct.
fields.
And
It's-
the crowd was great, it was a good turnout, it's great to see the parents out and the grandparents out supporting the youth. But the parking on the street is just not acceptable because the law's there. It's not our issue. It's our issue to handle it, but it's not our issue to provide the parking.
Well, like I say, hopefully they'll be over there patrolling them and we'll get straightened out, so.
Another thing on parking, I noticed they changed the signs today, right? I took your,
Really? The signs on Reed Terrace haven't changed over to no standing, no parking, no
standing, stopping.
no stopping. Thanks.
you gotta remember.
The state's supposed to be changing those other ones. The ones from Davenport to Boston, the state's
State's gonna
taking
change
care of
that.
that. At least, we were gonna do it, but they said no, they weren't.
Yeah.
Superintendent, do you have anything?
You did.
I got one less now. Right now, we have a couple, well, we have quite a few electric motors from all the upgrades that we've done at the water plant, the sewer plant. I'd like to put those in surplus. And we also have, now that we have our new radar signs, we have one that's on wheels in a trailer that we don't plan on using, so I'd like to put that into surplus. If that's okay with the board. Trying to clean out the white barn down there, there's a lot of stuff.
I know
over there.
it's probably not your question to answer, but are we gonna start rotating those, do you know?
Yes.
Okay.
We've got some new brackets that
Got
we're
the
gonna put up
bracket.
on some different poles, so basically all you have to do is take it off, move it to the other pole. So is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. As you probably know, Barrett's.
Did you make the motion for that surplus to let?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Barrett's was here a few weeks ago. We've got all our streets that we're gonna pave this year done. They did a nice job. did Hemlock, the old 801, which chewed up quite a bit of our CHIPS money. But the whole road needed to be done now that the village has taken it over whenever they did. And the 801 people are extremely happy with it. I get a phone call from her. I was just going to mention, we were talking about water and sewer and stuff. So Joe and I, Joe Zager and Colin went over and met with Kraft 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Last week, 2 weeks ago.
The 12th.
Yeah, we had a good meeting with Kraft. It's nice to go in there and sit at a table and just have a good conversation. As you can see, with surcharges, Kraft was charged $5,000 for water. They did come to us, and we've talked about it, that surcharge isn't something permanent. In the future, we can look at it, maybe reducing it. Kraft actually came to us and talked to us about that. And we explained to them that once we get the wells online, that would be a better time for us to, or you guys as a board, to look at what we are charging for surcharge. But overall, it's good to have good communication with them. Eric Lee, who's their plant operations guy, he's always in contact with me if we have low pressures or something, and I'll try to find out why. But their usage obviously now is going to be up a lot more than what it is normally because of the hot temperatures and stuff. But they're working diligently to correct any problems they have in the plant for water usage. So
They're also, they thought they might have it online by the end of that week. They were trying to get their water recycling back up and running.
They've got a new system back there. I think that's before most of the people are on the board. They tried doing it quite a few years ago, and they had some big issues. Now they've got this new membrane RO system that they think is going to be really beneficial to them, which obviously will be beneficial to us. They won't use as much water. So, no, I think things are going really well over there.
And aren't they always talking future expansion too?
They're always thinking future expansion. They wouldn't pinpoint anything because I brought that question up to them. They won't pinpoint anything, but they'll keep us in the loop. So that's all you can kind of ask. As I talked about before, we've got our new playground equipment up at Veterans Park. The guys were up this morning pulling off some topsoil and stuff. We're going to get it all laid out. So I'm hopeful in the next couple of weeks it'll be up and the kids can play on it and have fun. That's it.
That's it? Capital future planning, anything?
Yes, this Friday, 7 o'clock, Tony, myself, and Paul and myself will be meeting to set up and get a cohesive plan in place. And I'm going to recommend, if you guys want to meet me at Lloyd's, I'll buy coffee so we can start about initial setup. How's that sound?
Will we do 7?
Yeah,
Work for me?
Can we do that on village time?
7 o'clock is before village time.
Not for me yet.
Checking up streets.
You want to? Oh, you don't want to do it at 7? Okay.
No, I'm good. I'm good with it. That's
Oh,
fine.
you just want- all right. Well, I had it down, so I thought at one point you agreed to 7 o'clock.
Not just coffee.
Yeah, Tim's right. I gotta get breakfast.
Well,
after
breakfast,
that.
man, and coffee.
We'll negotiate that for sure.
You can write it off.
You get breakfast out, it's gotta be a miracle.
How would you know?
Personnel, anything?
No, I don't think so.
Finance?
No.
Nope.
Liaisons, fire department? You got anything, Joe?
I do.
The only thing is the parking lot.
Yes, and I had Tim Baker from T&D. He went over last Friday to measure it all out. I think what we're going to try to do possibly this year is just do say an 1.5 cover over all of the blacktop. For us to go in there and mill everything out and repave it, we don't have the money. So I think if we can do an overlay on it, that'll give us a few years where we can build up some type of fund and redo the whole parking lot the way it should be done. Because I can't see just going in there and just doing a spot here, a spot there. So if we do an overlay, I think that'll help at least for a few years.
Police department, you got anything? No. Planning board and zoning board.
I guess I got a meeting next week.
Municipal board. I think
Colin
we
and I
already
and-
talked about
Yep.
what they talked about. Unless you got something more, Doc?
No, we don't know.
Town, actually, we're after the town this month. Anything there?
I couldn't make it, I had 2 doctor's appointments, I think.
County. Anything?
Yes, county. I attended their meeting and their auditors were there. And one of the things that caught my ear was 24.8 million in the way I understood it. You were there, I think, Vince, in the general fund. So when they come to us and say we need to do this and that for economic development, that's fine and good, but maybe it's time that if they want to suggest that, what I've been harping for 30 years now is sharing of sales tax revenue. If we can support other things that to me aren't as important as economic development and what we need, we can support economic development. Every time we do something for economic development in this village, we do something. And it's like, you need to do this, this, and this, and now when the money comes in, but you don't get any of the sales tax. In the meantime, we support this project, and this project. Well, there's a lot that, there's no incentive for a village like us to really do anything. We're better off sometimes without the services or without the businesses because we don't have to provide the service. And another thing that I will tell everybody is we have a police department that you, the village taxpayers, fully fund. And you also pay taxes to help fund the state police and the sheriff patrol. By so doing, we're assisting the county and the state by having a police department here. So that's what I want to say there.
Yes, our attorney called.
Recreation?
I do have a question on the recreation for Joe. I'm being told that we had to cut sign-ups off. Is that true?
For what?
Because we had too many?
Oh, I don't know.
And my concern is, if that's true, I hope that we don't have people within the village and the town of Lowville that get turned away if we have others coming in. Now, I don't know, I need to ask that question.
Yeah, I think they had a meeting,
Yes.
and when they were talking about cutoffs, I think it would be village and town residents first, and then anybody outside the village after,
Correct.
right? I think that's how it works.
So we haven't actually had to cut off it.
Not for village and town, I think it would be anybody in the
But
surrounding.
we're taking sign-ups without any kind of restrictions as of right now.
I think when he met with Mike Young, I think the restriction was that they would fill the program for village and town residents, and then if they had to cut it off, it would be anybody outside of the town and village.
Correct.
Okay.
But I think they talked about some other stuff too, as far as funding and stuff for possibly next year, and
Okay.
what else did he say?
I don't remember. Just that it was going to cost us more money.
Yeah, it was gonna be a lot more money next year.
Mickey, do you have anything on Ray Cog?
Yeah, I was gonna say that our next board meeting is next Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Gonna be at the village of Castellan. I'll have some information going out here shortly on that. And then the Tug Hill Stage nomination, so we're looking at, anybody who's been a resident of the Tug Hill region and, had lifetime accomplishments or achievements in helping the region and that type of thing can be nominated by anyone. There's actually an online form, or if you want a paper form, we can get that also. And then at our 50th anniversary celebration in the fall for the Tug Hill Commission, which is our annual dinner meeting there, we'll then recognize those sages that were nominated and received that. So, just quick, I know you have the digital radar signs, but we do have a metro count, traffic counter too at the Tug Hill Commission that any community can utilize. That just, the only difference would be is that it can actually kind of pinpoint more what type of vehicle traffic is going across, what kind of vehicles are actually going across. So it's kind of like what you see DOT use, where it has the 2 strips on the road that kind of count it that way. So if you ever want that for any reason, we can provide that.
He gave us a report, Mickey, last month or the month before that showed traffic by the hour, traffic count, and speeds versus non-speeding. You're telling me that that's above and beyond what we currently have?
Right.
Okay.
Right. This would be a little bit additional, just a little more detailed, I guess, of what type of vehicles they were.
How many axles,
Yeah.
Weight and stuff like that.
I think on the surface hearing that, I think that'd be very, very beneficial. So that's
On
another
a
thing.
few of our roads, it
That's
was.
I feel
another
like
thing.
East State Street or something like that.
Well, we take care of the roads for economic development, and other than CHIPS money, you get nothing.
And it's just a first come, first served basis, so you just contact Gabriel Yurden in our office. He's the one that kind of heading that up. And then Village Carthage just had it over by Zero Dock Street, and they actually, it was a higher count than they even expected there. So, yeah, that's available to any community. That's no cost or anything there. And then I will mention, so Associate Circuit Rider, so Chris Barboza, I think he was maybe to one of these. I don't know if he was one of these or not. But anyways, he was our Fort Drum intern. He's now contracted out as Associate Circuit Rider for right now, so that will help cover the meetings when I have conflicts with multiple meetings at the same time.
Sorry about that.
And I will say that he's probably only going to be here until, in that role until about September, because he was offered our planner. We had a vacant planner position at the Tug Hill Commission, and he accepted that. So he it won't be until around September before that all comes around. So until then, he's contracted out as Associate Circuit Rider. Raycog banners, there was discussion. Carthage always has had Raycog banners on both ends of the bridges over there. They want to update those banners. We're going to bring that up at the Raycog board meeting and see if there's other communities that might want banners too or not. And then we'll look at that, because they're going to have the farmers market information added to those banners is what they want to do. And the University of Albany Policy Research Center, so at that Raycog board meeting, we're going to actually have April Rogio from the University of Albany coming to talk about, she wants to interview the communities about the Council of Governments and how it can help with the communities working together and the benefits of that, and then how that might be able to be replicated in other parts of New York State is kind of what they're looking at. So they're doing this research project related to that. So they're hoping to interview the different municipalities, and they'll actually come and interview the morning or afternoon before that meeting too, if there's communities that wanted to do it then instead of at the Raycog board meeting. Digital radar signs, which you guys already have, so I point everyone to you if they want to go see them. Guys said go check it out. I said I think they're getting a lot of good data from what I'm hearing from those, and so we're continuing with that. And the transportation safety coordinator position that we applied for, we'll hear in around August or September and whether we got that. And other than that, you already covered that lady lighting, so I don't have any questions.
Where's our attorney?
I don't have anything on the recreation. But I apologize for going out there, but that was the attorney. So we can go back to the E-Bank zone change. He apologized for not making it, but what we need to do, he will get the seeker part 2 and part 3 done, and he will send it up. So, anyhow. So we said for us tonight, so we can keep this moving for Key Bank. We need to make a motion on the seekers to declare negative declaration. So somebody would like to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are we putting the cart in front of the horse on that though? Because we really haven't heard the seeker.
What?
I mean,
I'm not hearing what you're saying, Dan.
I said, are we putting the cart in front of the horse because we haven't gone through the seeker?
We've got part one all done, because we did that at the last meeting. And then this way, we want to hold them up, because they gotta go before the regular planning board. Then if you want to make that motion, we could change that motion to on receiving, say, part 2 and 3, which he's gonna send right up to us tomorrow.
I guess the motion's on the table.
Yeah, I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And then he said we need to make another motion to approve the zone change. For the Key Bank.
I'll make the motion. I hate to see this get held up for Key Bank. They want to get.
I think the motion should say contingent on part 2 and 3 of the secret,
Right.
correct?
We should have them tomorrow.
I'll second.
Upon receipt? On receipt.
Upon receipt.
On receipt.
Yeah, on receipt. I'll
Part
second.
2 and 3 secret.
I'll second that, Joe.
All in favor?
Aye.
Because I know I talked with Kathy, and then it's got to go to their planning board now too, so.
Is, if we want to have an executive session tonight for a personnel issue, would Mr. Burrows be available via phone?
No, he's on the road. He was,
Okay.
he was leaving Lorraine at a meeting, heading to another one.
Okay.
I don't believe he would be. I do have one thing for executive session when we get there.
We are pretty much there.
Anybody else have any
Public comment.
comments or new business? If not, we'll move to public comment.
Joe, you stepped out. Dan had asked about recreation when because he heard that they were turning people away, like there was a cutoff. So I think Paul and I were correct, but when you met with Mike Young, wasn't it that the recreation program's taking the village and town children first?
That's what Bob and I told him.
Okay, yeah, Dan had asked about it, but you stepped out, so this way you can clarify in case I was wrong
What
in saying
Joe, what I
that.
had heard was we'd already filled the number of lots.
He's got
Apparently that's
180,
not-
he's got 180 right now.
Now, is he done taking? Is that the
And
amount?
he cut it off at 180.
Okay, so my question is, out of that 180, do we have some non-village residents? And what are we going to do if a village resident all of a sudden shows up and wants to come to Summer Rec?
There's not much we can do. Basically they had field trips scheduled, and Bob and I said, you know, if you need to hire more staff, cut back on your field trips. But we weren't coming up with any more money this year. Number one, Dan, we don't have it. Neither does the town.
Yeah, I understand that.
And we told them in the future, if they're outside the village and town, they should go on a waiting list. Going down the road, one thing, they're either gonna have to start charging for this, Dan, or it's gonna have to go away, or the county take the whole thing over. It's gotten cost prohibitive for the village and town to deal with every year. And it's only gonna get worse because minimum wage goes up again this coming December.
Well,
I mean, a program that used to be able to run for, say, 45,000, it's now almost
I'd
$70,000.
I absolutely hate to see the program go away because I get so much positive feedback on it. And again, it's another thing where the suggestion you just made is it maybe a bad suggestion in lieu of what we don't get from the county, that they do take the summer rec program over. I think that's a good idea. I don't know, and they may be very receptive to that.
I know Mike's
They've been pretty good about paying, well, at least last year, about giving money for the kids outside of the village and the town, which in some ways I think the towns that have these kids coming in should be paying.
Well, basically, the county's paying for that.
I know, but what I'm saying is, here I am defending the county because I don't really feel that that's, in a sense, their obligation.
I mean, I don't know if you know it, but the county paid for 62 children last year.
I know they did.
Outside, and it was $19,200 that the county paid
They did.
to this program.
Kudos to them for doing that.
So they did step up to the plate. Huh?
Yep.
But we had children from Boonville to Harrisville. That's how far away.
And that's great. I just don't want to see us have a kid from Harrisville and then say to a kid from Lowville, sorry, we're taking in kids from, and now you can't come this year. But it is what it is, I guess.
But, and the other thing you gotta think about is what this has really turned into. And I'm not against it, but it's glorified babysitting for people that work like at the hospital, Kraft Heinz, and like that. Where can you send your children for free for 6 weeks?
Well, and I won't argue with you on that, but I also tell you that for the average person in this community that's working, that's paying for daycare, they're almost better off not working because daycare's gotten extremely expensive. So, you know, it's a double-edged sword, and I'd hate to see us take away a program that, even if that's what it is, but I'm being told that this program is that and more. So I'm very pleased with the program.
And I mean, just to touch base on that too, if it is maxed out of people, I mean, my kids have been signed up for almost, I think, 4 weeks already. So it's not like, if they're trying to sign up now, oh well, too bad. I hate to say it that way, but they've had time to sign up.
And,
So it's not,
and Joe, that's fair too.
yeah, so it's not.
Well, that's why we gave them the go-ahead back in May, so
Right.
they would be able to do their sign-ups and know they were gonna have.
We have that happen a little bit.
Right.
Why don't you go by
Last minute.
income then? These people that work at Kraft can afford to send their kids somewhere else. So why don't you charge them for it?
Because as a municipality, I believe, Dudley, that that wouldn't pass muster with law.
No, but I'm talking about go with a guideline for, say, $100,000, if they make
What I'm saying is
$100,000 between the two parents, they can afford to send their kids there.
I don't argue that, but what I'm saying is, don't believe legally you need to do that.
All right.
Well, the other thing you gotta think about too is these people that are working in the community, hopefully they're also spending some of their wages buying groceries, stopping, buying gas, and visiting our local establishments, so they're hopefully spending some money in the community. So it's a, like you said, it's a double-edged sword almost.
Joe,
Yeah,
where do they sign up for
I
that?
have no idea. My wife did that.
That was
I think he's got a website where you go in and do it.
I would think there'd be a ton. I just know it was on day one when we were signed up.
You want to find out, Marcia?
But last year, like I said, I heard,
Okay,
Mike told me the cutoff this year was 180 students. Last year there was 182, so we're in the same ballpark, the amount of children we're serving. So,
I think it's a good idea, actually, the program.
and one thing we did ask them to do this year, Bob and I asked them, because we asked them last year to give us a breakdown of from what communities everybody was from, whether they from Martinsburg, New Bremen, Watson, Lowville Village, but they lumped Lowville Village and Lowville Town together. We asked them to split that out this year so we can have a better idea of how many children are coming from the town, how many children are coming from the village, for when we're looking at it next year. All right, brings us down to public comment. Anybody have any?
All right, I got a question first. have you enforced the new ordinance yet on garage sales?
On what?
The garage sales?
Garage sales.
Have we enforced it?
Yeah, because I've seen signs on telephone poles all over the village. There's couches sitting right on the lawn, right up there, right across from the courthouse.
I know Ward's been on like the couches and things, sitting down on lawn, stuff like that. He's been writing letters to those people. If it's been out
Oh,
there
you're not
for
sending the
anything.
cops to their house? You're not sending the cops to their house?
Not yet.
Well, they did mine. And I want to know why I was singled out.
You weren't singled out.
I was the only one that got one. I've been to 15 garage sales in town, and nobody else has got cops coming to their house. And I know the officers that come to my house told me it was not his idea. It was, he was ordered by his boss, and you ordered them to do it. And I want to know why.
Basically, I had told Randy that we had a complaint and we needed to, basically, I just asked him to go over there and tell you we had a complaint and what the new law was.
Well, I was never told there was a complaint.
He was
Who
supposed to give you,
complained?
he was supposed to give you a copy of the law too.
He gave me a copy of the law. Who complained?
Well, I'm not really gonna say that,
Why not?
but we did have a complaint.
Why not?
I don't think you can, actually. I don't think you can give out that information.
Well, I don't want the cops coming to my house either.
Even in a FOIL, I don't think you, even in a FOIL, you're allowed to take.
I will tell you, Tim, that if somebody puts a complaint in writing, because I had this personally happen several years ago, because my sidewalk wasn't clean, because my snow blower was broke down. Mark Tabor was the superintendent, and he said, I have a written complaint, and I said, I'm foiling it. He said, I don't believe you can do that. I said, call Mark Gibo, and when he gets done telling you I can, bring it to my house. And he did. So, if it's in writing, and that's the other thing, if somebody wants to put it, it's just like the dog law. If somebody complains to anybody in this community about a dog issue, put it in writing, because we shouldn't act on it unless it's in writing. And whether somebody likes that or not, I mean, if they call in and make a complaint, it's at the discretion of the mayor or whoever to handle it the way they want. But I think, Dudley, in fairness to the mayor, the garage sales, if they hadn't done anything wrong, there wouldn't be a reason to do that. Now, I don't know the circumstance of what had happened from the complaint.
I don't know what the complaint was, because I didn't know there was one.
But I think what we're suggesting in the future is, the law basically says you can have 2 or 3 a year.
2 a year.
With so many days, or 2 a year. And what was the days?
3 days.
3 days.
Okay,
3 days.
so that's where it's
So what was the complaint? That's what I'm asking.
That it was an ongoing
An ongoing
garage
sale.
sale.
I didn't have an ongoing garage sale.
Well, stuff was out there for sale. That's
Right, for sale, not a garage sale.
But
It says yard or garage
But
or,
it didn't say yard either, it just said for sale.
it does say yard in the law. It says-
I know, but my sign on the thing, what I had for sale said just for sale.
I think that's under interpretation as far as,
So you're-
if it's in the yard, it's a yard sale.
Okay, so that means every vehicle that is for sale, and if it's more than for 3 days or twice a year, you're gonna, because it's for sale. So that means you're gonna enforce it and start writing tickets.
If we get a complaint,
not only
we will
that.
look into it, but
The law in the village of Lowville says that any vehicle that isn't registered and has license plates on it, if it's in the yard for more than X amount of days, is in violation of the village code.
Yeah, but you don't enforce the codes. That's the problem. So why didn't the guy that does that, why didn't he come? Why did you send the cops? Would you like the cops to come to your house and do that?
To enforce the code,
The cops-
law needs to be.
they weren't going to your house to write you a ticket. They were to inform you.
I don't want the cops coming to my house, period. That doesn't look good.
Who are we gonna send?
Send the guy that enforces the code.
That's a
Or
village.
what you got?
That's-
If you got the complaint, why didn't you just come to me?
The ones that enforce it, if it's not something that goes through the county codes, it goes through either our police department or our DPW. Like
Well,
the
then
snow
I would
goes through
rather have him pulling my
DPW.
yard than the cops.
No. But
You know, you upset my wife and my kids, and that's not a good thing.
But the other thing is, you're looking at the cops as they're the bad guys.
No,
The cops are
whoa, I'm not looking at the cop as a bad guy. That cop was a perfect gentleman, was very polite.
But I mean, sometimes, you know, they have to serve different things or talk to people. It's not that they're out to get you.
Hey, it doesn't look
You
good
just,
when the cops come to your house.
I'm sorry, but I think you took it the wrong way.
Well, I think you
They were
took it the
they were
wrong
supposed
way.
to just give you a copy of the law and tell you what was going on.
I think you've done it the wrong way. I think either one of the board members, or would have been a common courtesy, you called me first.
I'll hand it, okay? Lovely, I'll.
Sorry you're upset about it.
I will,
I'm not upset, I'm not upset that they come to the house, I'm upset they upset my wife and my children. And it's not me that you owe, I think that you owe apology to, it's my wife and my kids.
Any other public comment?
Yes, I got one more.
Okay.
Then you can take
you
over now.
got 20, you got 20 more seconds.
Stowe Street. Off of Stowe Street, that sidewalk. Somebody's gonna get hurt. And when they do, you guys are gonna get sued. With them shrubs sticking out and the sidewalk sticking out. And something needs to be done there. It's overgrown, so if somebody's parked on the side of the road there, you can't even walk through there. And that's where the kids walk to school. There's a lot of kids that walk to school down that way.
Is that
I believe
something
there's something that says.
that our code looks into, or?
I don't
You're talking
remember.
about cedar shrubs that come around the
Yes,
corner there?
go around the corner, down, it's not so much around the corner, it's all the way down through that people can't walk. I watched a person fall the other day, trip, because they couldn't walk through there.
Because I thought they were supposed to trim that back a year ago.
He did trim it back, but it's getting.
2 years ago.
It's getting overgrown again.
Oh, wicked bad, wicked bad. Can't walk. Yeah, yeah.
Can't walk out.
I don't remember how that was handled before.
Ward money.
Yeah, I know we were involved, but I don't know if it was.
I called the homeowner, even though she doesn't live there, I called her, and that's when they got trimmed up.
So it's more a village code thing possibly?
I
or-
don't know.
They
I got a
do
courtesy.
need to be trimmed to get them out.
And they're too high, I think by code they're too high too, actually.
Something we'll have to look into.
We'll look at
Okay, cool. All right, go ahead, buddy. I'm done with them now.
Thank you from the committee member passing it out.
I appreciate it.
Well, I've got a couple of things. There's a rumor floating around out there about Chief Roden. And the rumor is that he has turned his retirement time in and he's getting done. And I just want to know if that is true, or it's a false rumor and he's still the village police chief.
He is still the village police chief. He is not yet retired. But
He hasn't
is-
turned
I
his
don't believe that
paperwork.
it
He
is
will
our.
retire at the end of the month,
He is retired.
Mhm.
but at the moment, he's still the police chief.
That was the question. Now, the second one is, the Summer Drag Street series is now open on Bostwick Street. The fact that
What'd you say, the what drag?
Summer Drag Strip
Oh, the
series.
sour drag.
Oh, no.
Hey, turn me hearing.
During school, it wasn't bad. We've got a lot of kids now that are living on Bostwick Street, little kids. I've got 5 little ones across from me now living, 3 up on the corner. There's a couple down the street right across from where the crosswalk is. And during school, it wasn't bad. It was in the morning and after school, and then at night, there's a lot of them that are going down to the fairgrounds. tennis, basketball, playing on the swing sets there in the elementary side. So there's a lot of traffic at night. Now, with school closing, it's 24/7 that we're gonna have a lot of kids, especially small kids that are living on the street now. We didn't have that 3-4 years ago. There wasn't the small kids. They are there now, along with the ones using the facilities at the school. And what's happening is, the reason I say it's a drag strip is they turn the corner, no matter if it's a motorcycle, car, pickup truck, and one SOB that's got a white pickup and double stacks. I swear I'm gonna get you. Anyway. So that's where they make their turn and they let it go. They just blast it right to the crosswalk where they back off, let it come over the hill. They know where the police are sitting, either there at the gate, the fairgrounds, down by the bus garage. That's the normal places. They know it. Now that you've got these things that you can set on the poles, the speed readers, isn't there a way that you can put one where the police can read it as they're coming down the street and blowing down to the crosswalk area? That's where they let off. And speaking of the crosswalk, the second thing, I'm going in the morning to pick my golf partner up. I stopped at the crosswalk. There was a young fellow wanting to cross. I pulled up on my side because I'm going down Boston Street. So I stop. He's on the other side. He starts to step off and 2 pickup trucks just blow by me. Never even looked at the kid, never slowed down at all.
I'm surprised we haven't had something bad happen in that very scenario right now. I've seen it happen more than once.
Yeah. So
They
if we could
passed you?
get,
They passed you?
No, coming the other way.
coming the other way,
Okay.
because I stopped.
Well, they said they blew by.
They were on the other side and they blew past on the other side with the kid. He started to step out and thankfully he stepped back because they never slowed up a bit, either one. But what I would like to see is if they could get, so the police can see it before they let off and come over the hill and slow it down to where it's over the speed limit but reasonable.
My question becomes, I like the idea, but my question becomes, can you use that to enforce the law versus radar in your car? I don't know. That's a good question. See what I'm saying?
Why you got them down on the poles now?
Yeah, but I don't think.
You know, so you're tracking.
Maybe that's a suggestion.
It's like the red, it's like the red cameras on the red lights, basically.
I don't believe they,
Picture of it.
I don't think.
I don't believe they can, they have to be calibrated a certain way, and these aren't calibrated like that, so it has to be, I think, by radar gun in the vehicle.
But if I could say something,
Yeah.
Dick, why can't we ask the police to sit in the parking lot of the school?
I've asked them to do that. I said, you can sit in my driveway.
Well, no, but I
I
mean,
don't care, sit in my driveway and you can witness it, whether you go after them or not, but at least you can see what's going on.
there's no reason we can't ask the police to sit in that parking lot now the school's open, so.
Or something.
But it sounds to me like it's a patrol issue more so than, I don't know what we could do as far as traffic is concerned, other than make it a permanent speed zone, not just during the school day, make it a 20-mile-an-hour speed zone 24/7, whether school's in session or not. Like you said, the kids are there.
20-mile-an-hour speed zone is ignored.
Oh, I understand that, I understand that.
That is ignored.
But that should also be enforced by the state troopers. because
Exactly,
it's
it's
a
a
state
patrol issue, not a. road, yeah.
I've never seen troopers pull anybody over.
Well, the crosswalk situation in the village is terrible.
Oh, I totally
That's the
agree
most
with you.
dangerous place in the world is that crosswalk in the village of Lowville.
Any of them are.
It's all because of sight distance, you can't.
You gotta be standing in the road and they might stop.
Mike,
You said mine, you're right, mine,
Well,
I see 2 of them go by in front of the school in the middle,
no,
because I
that's
stopped.
hard to.
State trooper right crosswalk right there by the.
Never.
So we slow down
What do you think, Red? Stop.
state trooper.
Must be that sign there that they just can't.
All right, any other public comment?
The town invests some of their excess money in a group called New York Class through Community Bank. Has that been done with the village, but for your excess money that you don't have because you said we're
It
getting
was
toward
done
the bottom?
3 months ago, and we're making good.
Could that be put on the agenda?
What's that?
Could the, what interest you're getting off that fund, could you let the public know that you're getting X number of dollars on that fund? Because I'd like to contribute some money if I get that type of interest, you know? But I can't because I'm not a municipality. It's just something that the town does. That every month they say, we made $50,000 this last month, and it's helping our fund balance.
If you've been at one of our meetings here a few months back, we did a resolution to move our reserve funds.
What I'm saying is, you could, during the meetings in the future, could you make reference to it at the meeting, saying, New York Class gave us X number of dollars this last month.
We didn't go with New York Class.
However,
I got a better deal through Community Bank.
okay, well, I know it's a community bank, I thought it was New York Class they called it.
Well, the town
It might
is,
be.
the town is,
Town is,
but we're not.
yeah, but that's a separate.
Okay.
He's asking if we
You
can
know,
announce
in the fairness of
at the
transparency,
meetings what we're making for interest each month.
in fairness of
Well, last month,
transparency,
to
let's
give you
do
an
it.
idea, Henry, last month, the month of May, was about 38,000.
Okay, that's all, you just be more
And it
forthcoming with the public,
it
that's all.
used to be around 32,000 for the year.
We went from less than 1% to over 4%. Henry.
We're almost at 5% right now.
I think we've asked for to put that out. in the
That's something we
treasurer's
can-
report.
I mean, there's no reason that can't be public now.
Right, I'm just saying, if you incorporate it in your agenda, so that people know, because some people look at Lincoln Lewis County and watch on the computer, then come to the meetings.
The way this is set up too, Henry, it's set up that it's not restricted. We have something come up where we need to get some funds, we can draw on that account.
Right.
It's not, we don't have to give them 30 days notice or anything, we can walk in tomorrow and draw money.
And
It's
Key Bank
liquid,
had the
so to speak.
opportunity to match, or to come up with that and didn't. That's why we went with Community
No, I
Bank.
mean, do we have to go to interest restricted funds?
They were competitive with New York
We're
Class.
trying to look after your best interest when it comes to.
No, I'd like to contribute. Please contribute.
So you can
I got bank accounts too, if you want to contribute.
Yeah, so I have a spreadsheet.
I'll take some.
No, I have a whole spreadsheet.
All right,
that
any
I
other
put
public comment?
on, so I know like how much.
Just want
dollars
to remind everybody that the early voting for the Republican primary is now open. There's some very good candidates out there. And also the 27th from 6 to 9 a.m. down to, or 6 to 9 p.m. down to Fire Hall, will be taking ballots then.
So who's gonna take, when the sheriff retires, who's gonna take his job?
That's chief.
Or chief,
Chief,
sorry,
chief.
excuse me, chief. All right.
Nobody's made that decision yet.
And are you gonna appoint somebody?
Down the road, we will, I'm
Intern,
sure, yes.
It'll be an intern?
just follow news, you'll get.
Well, I figured that sooner or later, but I was just wondering if that's what's gonna happen. You're gonna appoint somebody until somebody takes the job.
Yeah,
There'll still be a police, there'll still be a police department, so.
So they still come and visit me then?
All right, so to make a motion, we can go into executive session then?
For.
I would like to discuss,
Personnel issues?
no, I want to discuss the police chief's position, basically.
Personnel issues, right?
And also personnel issues. And we're gonna ask everybody but the board to leave.
Correct.
We'll be conducting business afterwards.
will we be making any?
Yes.
We won't be doing anything after the executive session, will we?
No, I just want to give you some information I found out.
I'll make a motion, we
Are
go
we,
into.
wait a minute, are we going to possibly appoint somebody after we come out?
No,
Okay.
I'd like to let Daniel, he can be here.
Okay.
I need a second though.
What?
We need a second for.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, no,